Hello. Today we're going to talk about indexing of R vectors and numpy array in Python. Indexing allows you to select a subset of the elements in a given object. That object could contain a sequence of data elements and you want to extract one or more of the entries. You can index a vector in R and a numpy array in Python using square brackets that follow the name of the variable you want to index. And then in the square brackets, you specify the indices of the elements you want to extract. The index is an integer that specifies the position of the element in the vector containing the sequence of data elements. Okay? Square brackets are used for both Python and R indexing. But how you specify the index value inside the square brackets is different between the two languages. For example, if we have a vector x in R, x followed by square brackets and a 1 inside square brackets will access the first element of the vector x. To access the first element of, let's say, a numpy array y, you would use the indexing of 0. So you would use y square brackets and a 0 index for the first element inside the square brackets. So let's create a vector in R. So let's call that vector x. We use the concatenate function, the C function. For that, let's say that vector is simply the integers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can extract the first element of the vector by using the index value 1. So our language indexing starts from 1. Okay? R is one indexed language. So to access the first element, x1, and you have the output 1. To extract, let's say, this third element of the vector, you use the index value 3, x, square brackets, and inside the square brackets, we have the number 3, and that outputs the third element of this vector. The last element of the vector can be accessed using, so this vector has a length of 5. So if I do x square brackets, and inside the square bracket, I have the number 5, that will give me the last element of this vector. So the length of x is also something I can put inside the square bracket, length function x. So, all right. So let's create a Python numpy array, a one-dimensional numpy array, and extract some elements of that array. So we first import numpy library, numpy as np, and we create a vector y we create an array y to be equal to np.array. We provide a list containing 5 integers, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. All right, to access the first element, use the index value of 0 in Python compared to the index value of 1 in R. So inside the square brackets, we have y square brackets 0 that outputs the first element of that array. Python is 0 indexed programming language, while R is 1 indexed language. The second element of the array is indexed by 1. The third element is indexed by 2, and so on. So to find the third element, to access the third element, you use y square brackets, and inside the square brackets, you use the number 2. The last element of the array is indexed by 4. So the length of this array is 5. The fifth element is indexed by the number 4, index value 4. Okay? You can find the length of this array using len function, and that returns a value of 5. So 5 minus 1 is 4, which is the index value for the fifth element of the array. Another way you can access the last element is using negative indexing. Negative indexing in Python can be used to access elements of an array from the end. For example, the last element has an index of -1. The second to the last element has an index of -2, and so on. So y square brackets and -1 index value inside the square bracket returns the last element. Y square brackets -2 value inside the square brackets returns the second to the last element, which is 4 in this example. Something you need to be careful is that negative indexing has a different behavior in R than it has compared to the Python negative indexing behavior we just saw. In R, it has the effect of excluding elements instead of the reverse indexing behavior we just saw in Python. For example, in R, if I have a vector x and I index x at -1, x square brackets -1, it returns all elements of the vector except the one I indexed by -1, except the first one. Okay? Similarly, x square brackets -2 index value returns all elements of the vector x except the second entry. So that's something you need to be careful about. Okay, so this is the first foundational indexing of R vectors and numpy arrays we are doing. In the next video, in the next lesson, we will be slicing R vectors and slicing numpy arrays. What do I mean by slicing? Slicing is extracting multiple elements at once or at the same time from a vector or from an array or from a list. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I'll be very happy if you share it with your friends as well. Thank you.